In 1914, Ernest Shackleton and his team men set out to conquer Antarctica. All but forgotten back home, Shackleton's expedition drifted with the ice for nearly 2 years. It has come to be known as the greatest small boat journey in history. This is their story.
The ship Endurance set off for Antarctica in 1914, its crew hoping to be the first to cross the continent. She crossed mountain seas, battered by stormy weather, to reach the coast of Antarctica. Little did the men know they would not set foot on dry land for another 2 years.
Within 2 days of entering the Weddell Sea, the ship encountered pack ice. It was soon trapped among the ice and set to drift among the floes. Attempts to cut themselves out of the ice failed, so the men set up camp. They played games and sang songs to keep up morale.
In May, the sun set for the last time in 4 months. By the end of 1915, the ship was crushed by the ice and the men were left stranded. They tried to drag their lifeboats across the hills of ice, but it proved to be far too difficult and nearly caused a mutiny. And the crew was so tired and sore that no one could pull anymore. Instead, they decided to wait for spring.
This was dangerous. Once then, Tom Durley was skiing back to camp. A monstrous head burst from the ice. A giant sea leopard lunged at Tom, only to slip quickly back into the dark water, stalking Tom from below the ice as sea leopards do when they hunt penguins. Frankie Wild rushed from camp to save Tom with his rifle.
On the 7th of April, drifting with the ice, they spotted Elephant Island. They decided to row there, and it took 7 grueling days. The crew hadn't had baths in months. Their clothes were greasy and their hands were cracked. The men shipwrecked on the island with little food and water, and with a little chance of getting rescued.
On the 24th of April, Ernest Shackleton, along with Frank Worsley, Big Tom Crean, and Chippy McShane, launched the lifeboats, card and prepared to sail the 800-mile to South Georgia to seek help. Shackleton knew all his men could not survive the trip, so he vowed to come back for the others.
The boat was faced with massive waves and incredible gales, which made it nearly impossible to navigate. However, they landed miraculously on South Georgia on the 10th of May.
To reach the whaling station, the men had to face high peaks, perilous cliffs, steep slopes, and monstrous glaciers. 2 days later, Shackleton and his crew stumbled into the whaling station exhausted. It was to take 4 attempts over 3 desperate months before Shackleton could return to Elephant Island to rescue the rest of his men.
Despite fears that Shackleton would never return, he did, and every single one of his men were saved. Shackleton returned to Britain, a forgotten hero. His inspirational leadership had snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
After many attempts to conquer Antarctica, Big Tom Crane returned to his hometown. He opened up a pub and named it the South Pole Inn. He remained there until his death, rarely speaking of his adventures with Shackleton and the rest of the crew.
Ernest Shackleton tried once more to conquer Antarctica. However, on the 5th of January,
1922, he died as his expedition began. He is buried on the island of South Georgia and died as he had lived, fulfilling in prophecy of his family motto. Fortitude invincimus, which means by endurance we conquer.